We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com.
Okay, so Brain the Vampire, Brian A. Brian A is Brain the Vampire.
That's
Okay.
right. He got a nickname organically.
Okay, that's that. I guess so. Okay, good enough. Has a bit more to cover regarding his great room setup. So here comes more about his great room setup. To clear up the confusion about the opening on the front wall, where the right in-wall speaker should go, our guess based on the floor plan is that it is an optional opening to the next room was correct. Okay. It is an optional opening to the entryway, and it's the option his wife wants. So that means it's not an option. That means in-wall speakers, at least in traditional placement, are not an option. However, the opening is not floor to ceiling, so he could place the left and right speakers in line with the center. Based on our previous comments, this placement will sound better than in ceilings in the 11-foot ceiling, but will it sound good? And would mounting them horizontally or vertically make any difference?
So my main thought on this is if you're going to go with the in-walls, and Tom was a fan in this instance of going with in-wall speakers just because his wife wanted an invisible look, and that's about as close as you can get. You know, something with paintable grills, blends right into the wall. We had previously suggested Kef or GoldenEar. I'm going to now say go with Kef. Right? You get some Kef in walls that are the coaxial speaker design. It absolutely does not matter whether they're vertical or horizontal. In fact, they have ones that are just square. So there is no vertical or horizontal.
No decision to make.
They're,
Perfect.
they're equal either way that you orient them, but it's that coaxial speaker design. You mount 3 of those in that front wall, and I think if you're going the in-wall solution, that makes it pretty simple. Then, of course, they have matching in-ceiling speakers that he's planning to use as his surrounds. To me, that's pretty simple. That'll work.
It does. It sounds nice.
If he could
Sounds like
get
a good
the
idea.
speakers closer to the TV, lift them up. a
Yeah,
little
I think
higher.
that was just sort of a mock-up in his drawing there. But
just
yeah, get them
mentioning
as close to ear level as you can.
and
Right.
get that center speaker as center as you can, and you're
Yeah.
good to go.
But there is another potential solution because, Tom also mentioned, maybe just going back to a sound bar. And it was kind of funny because Brian was saying, like, all he's listened to in the past are sound bars. You know, it's either been TV built-in speakers or sound bars. He wants something better now.
It's time for something better, yes.
But there is something that isn't your traditional sound bar, like it's not a Samsung or a Vizio sound bar. It is 3 separate speakers that happen to share one cabinet.
Yeah.
Right. And again, you know what? I'm just going to say, again, stick with GoldenEar or Kef because both of them offer this. GoldenEar offers their SuperCinema 3D arrays, and Kef offers, they just call their sound bars. But what they really are 3 separate speakers. If you look on the back of them, they actually have 3 sets of binding posts, and you connect them to the left, center, right speaker wire outputs of a traditional AV receiver. These aren't your regular, what we think of as sound bars, where you're plugging sources directly into them. They are just speakers. They just happen to all share one cabinet.
Maybe
And
they
again,
should call it a speaker bar.
yeah, exactly. But again, I think the GoldenEar and the Kef ones are some of the better sounding ones. They're nice and large, so you actually get a half-decent stereo spread, and that would probably look just fine mounted below your flat panel TV on that wall.
And I've used this as a solution for a couple customers. The sound bar, I call it a bar because it.
Yeah.
And there's several manufacturers. The Kefs are great. Yamo. They're just a solid aluminum case usually, and you can get them up to 52 inches or 55 inches wide. So you get that nice dispersion for left, center, right. And they work really good. They're clean.
Yeah, and it's quite easy. I mean, the other thing about like an in-wall installation is, unless you're going to leave holes in the wall, you're not taking that with you if you move. Whereas one of these speaker bars that you can mount, you could take that with you when you move. You could unmount the TV, unmount the speaker bar. So there's some consideration there. But I think either of those solutions will work for you in this instance. And I definitely still think that either of those is better than in-ceiling front speakers in an 11-foot ceiling.
Yes.
That's not the way
That's
to go.
going to be noticeable. That is going
the
to be
professional installer just said that's not the way to go. So there you go.
That's your answer. However, let's see. So the vampire here has a happy side to this, by the way. He
does?
says,
Okay.
since his wife gets the opening in the wall, he gets his choice of subwoofer. He'd like his choice to be an SVS SB16 Ultra. He's just not sure where to put it. It'll have to go either in the front or rear of the room, since he'll be having the spot pre-wired. Which would be better? Or should he have both spots wired and just resign himself to one of them never being used after he chooses the best sounding one?
So you're going to absolutely hate me for this. But given that, I mean, believe me, I understand. First of all, I think the SB16 Ultra in this size of room is a fantastic choice. I don't know that you can do a whole lot better in terms of something that isn't utterly enormous, because this is the sealed box version.
Right.
But it's going to be a really fantastic subwoofer. But you're in this great room sort of setting. You've got the dining room, kitchen that are going to be off to the right side of the theater.
Yeah.
My guess, and this is a guess, I mean, if there's some way you can get into this home and do a subwoofer crawl, that's actually the answer. Right,
Yep.
because you're doing the single subwoofer, you know where your seats are going to go. If you can do a subwoofer crawl, that's actually the answer. But the theory would say that the middle of your left wall is going to be the best place for the sub. Now that's going right below this big picture window that he's got. I don't know if that's any sort of option, but the theory of subwoofer placement when you're placing one sub in this long room that he's got would be that the middle of the side wall would be the best choice.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah. The automatic tendency to go to a corner and corner load your subwoofer isn't the best result. You're not going to get that flat result. You're going to get a boom. Center, even if it's the front center, I think Rob's right. Unfortunately, it's by the window. I don't know what the spousal acceptance factor is there.
It depends how low down that window comes, and does the subwoofer block any light?
That thing is huge. That's still
it's big.
Quite big. Yeah. Could he do something with like a? Well, there's not much you can do. Maybe one of the tube ones.
Like the cylinder and lying on its side.
And lying on its side.
Yeah, there is the PC13 Ultra that could.
That might be more of an option.
Potentially, yeah.
It's an odd shaped room, so the only way you're going to solve that was with the crawl. Buy the subwoofer up front. Say I'm sorry, honey. Buy it up front, and then do the crawl, and then have your installer, if you pre-wire it, then bring the wire to that point, and you'll be happy.
Yeah. I mean, since he is pre-wiring, I mean, if the only choices for where you can pre-wire it are somewhere at the front of your theater or somewhere at the back, do both, because you said that you could potentially do that. You might end up, after doing a subwoofer crawl, still needing to run some length of wire from wherever the wall pre-out or pre-wire is to where your subwoofer actually ends up living, which might not be the absolute cleanest setup that you were hoping for. But the truth is, we can't tell you from looking at the diagram whether front or back is going to be better or that either of them is going to be any good. There's every likelihood that neither of them is actually going to be the best spot. So the more pre-wiring you could do, unless you can go ahead of time and do a subwoofer crawl before the pre-wiring is even done, if that's not an option, then the more spots that you could pre-wire, the better, just to give yourself options.
So this is an empty place that he's building, yes?
Yeah.
So would he have to drag a couch in there and some wall hangings and stuff and some plants to make it seem like it's full before he could do a crawl?
You can get a general idea with the subwoofer crawl without any of those in. You're just tightening up the sounds and frequencies with those other extra
Yeah, because it's the dimensions that matter more than anything.
That matter.
Gotcha.
He could probably borrow a sub from a friend.
Yeah.
And then just do a sub sweep. And
okay.
And then go from there. Just put the amplifier and the subwoofer right.
So if he finds a sweet spot with one sub, it's generally going to be okay with whatever sub he gets?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because it's the
that sounds like a good answer.
Again, that's the math thing again. You're tightening up a few frequencies with the add-on fabrics and stuff. But the subwoofer crawl. He might be, with the price of that sub, could he maybe get two smaller ones?
I mean, you certainly could. You could get two of the HSUs. You could get two VTF 15Hs.
and then have them balance that room out. It might be a better option.
Although I'm guessing that both of these subs are going to live in the theater area, so it's still a weird long oblong room.
It is. It's difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, but 2 subs. Come on.
Two is almost always better.
What you
than
do
one.
is you just tell your wife that this particular sub comes in 2 boxes.
Honey, it's the industry standard.
It's still a sub. It's just in 2 boxes. Let me set it up right.
Yeah.
1 box goes over here.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, I think that's about as good an answer as we could give you. I'm sorry it's not simpler and easier, but that's the real straight shooting.
But without crawling around in there with you, there's not much else we can do.
Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.